Hey everybody, welcome to the full button tutorial on the 2025 Toyota 4Runner TRD Off-Road I-Force Max. Yes, this has the upgraded powertrain with the hybrid system from Toyota, so it's got a ton of power. But we're going to be staying inside the vehicle for this video and going over all the interior features and technology. With that said, let's begin. Starting on the door, on the top are the seat memory buttons for 1 and 2 drivers and set. So all you have to do is hit set and the number of the seat you want to set to after making your adjustments, and you'll hear a beeping sound. Below those are the mirror adjustments. So we have the left and the right mirror, which you can toggle pretty much the same on every Toyota now. Some still have the little video game toggle over here. And below those are the lock and unlock. You'll notice the lock button has 2 little dots, which are the same as on the key fob, so you don't have to look down at the door. You can actually feel which button will lock the doors. And all 4 window switches are 1 touch up, 1 touch down, hands-free on all 4, with a window lock button over here that lets you know the windows are locked with the green LED. The seat has some electronic adjustments. This button here will bring the seat forward or back, up and down. You can even twist and put the cushion up only on the front to give you maximum comfort. The middle button is the recliner, which gives you a beeping sound when you're using it. And then the 4-way lumbar support. So I can raise the lumbar support up the seat or down, and then in and out to give me more or less back support. Down below, like on every Toyota for years, are the locking floor mats. With a quarter turn, you can unlock the mat. When you take these out to vacuum them, you just wanted to give it a little push and turn, make sure the arrows all line up, and give it a little pull to make sure it's locked. Working our way up the dashboard, the first lever here is the hood latch to release the hood. And moving up north are the auxiliary switches for 4 accessories, which Toyota gives you the wiring harnesses for these. So for the off-roaders and overlanders, when you want to put on some light bars and pretty much anything you can think of, you can get these set up and check the owner's manual for the locations of the different spots where you hook up the wiring harnesses. Above that row is the on button for the auto high beams, which will go on when the lights are in auto on the stock, coming soon. The cancellation for the traction control, the inverter, and the electronic hatchback. You give that a quick push and hold and release, and it opens. You can stop it short and then push and hold for a second, and it'll go down. That's also height adjustable. I have a video on how to adjust the height in seconds on the hatchback, so check that out. The top row over here has the leveler for the headlights, which you can level them on the fly. 0 is the highest position. It's right next to the little dash. There's also little half spots too, so that's 0.5, 1, 1.5, all the way to 5. So when you load up the 4Runner with a lot of gear and the headlights are pointing up, you can point them back down. And then next is the brightness adjustment for the gauges and interior buttons. When you push this, you'll get a little symbol on the MID, that little bar down there letting you know that they're dim or bright. And lastly is the release button for the gas cap. So we finally have a locking gas door on the 4Runner, nice to see. The steering wheel adjustment on this 61 and change $1,000 4Runner is electronic. So there's no lever to pull down and lock in, super simple, and you can do that whenever you'd like. The first headlight stock has a few different positions for the lights. The little dash lets you know where you are. So the first position is daytime running lights off. That means you'll have no lights on at all. The next position is my favorite, that's auto, which means the lights will come on with the tail lights and everything else, like interior lights when you're in the dark or it's nighttime going through some tunnels, which the automatic high beams will then be active for you. You also have a parking lights option here, in case you're parked facing a house or a business and you don't want to be blinding people with the bright LEDs. And then we have the manual button, or position for better words, for the headlights in case you want all lights on all the time. Here's the option for the fog lights. If you leave the fog lights on when you're in auto, they won't be on until the Hall headlight system comes on. If I do a quick push and release, I'll get 3 signals, and I can do it in both directions, great for merging, changing lanes on the highway. The right stock operates the wipers, front and rear, so we have a couple different positions here. We have off, intermittent, low, and high constants. Right now we're in the off position, but if we clicked it down once, we can change the intermittency level, which is how often it goes. They're not rain sensing. It would have said auto over here if it was rain sensing like in the RAV4. Down again is a low constant speed, and down all the way to the bottom is the fastest they can go. This section here is for the rear wiper. The off position is signaled here with the dash. If I move it up to intermittent, it's going to go once in a while. And if I move it forward twice, it's going to be constant on in the back. Just like on every Toyota that has a back wiper, if I push this away, it's going to wipe up the back. If I pull it towards me, it's going to wipe up the front, and it's going to spray washer fluid. Either way you push. You may find that you have to push and hold it in this direction for a couple seconds to get the fluid to travel all the way to the back of the 4Runner. Now onto the steering wheel. So the steering wheel has two pads on the left and right. This is the same steering wheel as the Tundra and the Tacoma now. So it's all copy and paste. So if you're familiar with the Tundra or the Tacoma, this is going to feel very at home. There's no buttons in the back and there's no paddle shifters. So the buttons on the left pad, starting on the top, the back button. So when you're operating the MID using the arrows here, which go left, right, up, and down, you can hit select, which is the OK, and then you can hit back, which will go through the different menus in the middle. We're going to do the MID next. The button over here that has the phone symbol will answer and hang up phone calls, but if you're connected with the phone and the truck, you can push this and it'll open up your phone menu. Then the bottom buttons are the volume to your music or your phone call, and then we have the voice commands. If you push it once real quick, it'll prompt the Toyota software for audio commands, but if you push and hold for a second, you'll see the little Siri symbol pop up in the bottom, or the little line over here or here for the Google Assistant if you're running Android Auto. And you can do voice commands for things like navigating you, changing your music, and a couple other interesting things. The right pad of buttons has more driving stuff with a little bit of music. So the first button here will activate the cruise control right away, which is a dynamic radar cruise control, part of Toyota Safety Sense, which is Toyota's standard safety system. That also gives you the automatic high beams, the lane departure assistance, and the pre-collision system with pedestrian detection. So yes, just by simply pushing this, you'll have the cruise control. It'll show you on the MID in the middle, the sensitivity level in bars. You see those gray bars? There's a button I can push to change the sensitivity, aka the following distance. That's this button right over here on the bottom. So when I push that, it changes the sensitivity and following distance. Now, they still retained the old cruise control that does not stop or slow down automatically and speed back up. By pushing the mode button, that'll change the cruise control mode from the dynamic radar, which is the adjustable cruise, to the steady state or constant speed cruise control that will not step on the brakes at all. I do suspect that that will be phased out and soon you'll only have the adaptive, but for those that are weird about the adaptive and you're still transitioning, you have the choice to use the old school cruise. The button on the top right activates the lane tracing assist system with lane departure assist, so it will let you know in color coordination on the MID in green, orange, and gray to let you know if you're going out of your lane, if it's safe to switch your lane. And the lane tracing assist will keep the 4Runner in the center of the lane and give you a gentle steering input to keep it in the center of the lane. If you're not holding onto the wheel for a few seconds, it will alert you to grab control of the steering wheel, or it's going to turn off the lane assist, which we call lane tracing assist. So just keep in mind, it's not self-driving. You can push this, you'll see it'll even steer you for a few seconds while going on a turn on the highway. But after, I don't know, a couple moments after that, you'll notice right away it's going to ding and let you know, hey, grab the wheel. But it is very nice for the long trips because it helps you. It just helps a little bit while you're resting your hands on the wheel. When you hit the cruise control, you can hit up or down and it'll increase and decrease the speed, which will be shown on that MID, which stands for multi-information display. And you can cancel the cruise control with the cancel button. If you push the brake during cruise control, you can resume by pushing up, which is nice. This mode button is for music, so it's going to go through AM, FM, Bluetooth, or Sirius radio. If you push and hold it, it's going to pause the music, which is nice, and this will go through your radio presets or your songs if you're running Bluetooth. Now we're going to take some time to embark on the 12.3-inch display, which is a Speedo cluster and MID combined. Let's begin. So this is Toyota's new 12.3-inch display. I do have a video that goes over this display. I believe it was a Highlander when I filmed it, so do check that out. It dives deep. But I want to take some time because we're in the 4Runner and there are some things that are unique to the 4Runner that will be in these menus. Now, if you're a Toyota OG and you know Toyotas, MID is multi-information display, which we know and love as the center screen. But on the 12.3 inch, we actually have dual MIDs, which means inside of each one of these gauges is its own MID, and there's still some things we can do in the center. So by using the left and right arrow on the steering wheel, you'll see I go through these pages, signified by the number here. And what the really cool part is, I can change the information that shows on each page, but this is how it came from the factory. So for example, on page 1, I have the boost gauge here that shows me how much turbo boost I'm getting. And that's really important because if my oil temperature is not up, I can keep track of that and try not to boost until my oil temp goes up, and that'll really protect the longevity of the powertrain. On the right, I have my total average. I wouldn't really look too far into this if you're watching, because this vehicle hasn't been driven much more than 4 miles, which means it hasn't even been on an official test drive. So the fuel economy is not going to be great. It's just started up for a few minutes and moved around a little bit. After a couple fuel tanks, you'll get much more accurate reading. On page 2, they gave us the voltometer, the oil pressure, my favorite one, the oil temperature, which since we've been idling a little bit, the oil temperature is it's slowly starting to creep up. And then below that is the transmission temperature, which is really good to see in case we're going to start doing some off-roading or hill climbing or towing and hauling. So you can see all of your vitals right away. And on page 3, they gave us the 4x4 monitor to show us our traction and the pitch and roll, which is pretty neat. You're not going to use that much on your day-to-day, but it kind of brings back the heritage of the FTA Cruiser, and if you are off-roading, it's good to see where your angles are at from when you're crawling. Now, before we dive deep on the different options for what you can put and change on these 3 different pages, let's go over some of the symbols that we see while we're looking around. So since this is the I-force Max, it has the hybrid powertrain, which means it will run with the engine off sometimes, or just turn the engine off while you're parked. So just keep that in mind. But the way you can tell it's on is not by hearing the engine, it's actually by seeing the ready symbol in green. So to start the vehicle, it's the same as all Toyotas. You push the brake and the push start button. You'll see the ready symbol flash, and then once it's solid, which is usually instantaneously, the vehicle's on, whether or not you hear the engine. Right down here, this bar is our coolant temperature. A lot of people think the vehicle is warmed up if the coolant temperature is in the middle, which is what most vehicles show. But I just want to take a special note, since this is turbocharged, what you really want to pay attention to is your oil temperature, which is right over there. Now you might start freaking out and say, oh, well, I don't have any oil pressure. There must be something wrong with my 4Runner. But you have to keep in mind that this is a hybrid, and right now the engine is off. So there's not going to be any oil pressure because the engine's not running. Once the engine turns on, you'll see the oil pressure kick up to middle, sometimes even 3/4 on the T24 powertrain. And I wouldn't be concerned about it being around 3/4. You just don't want it running into the high or super low. And once things warm up, you're going to see it kind of chilling around the center. But if you're really getting on it, it's totally normal to see that oil pressure go up to that 3/4 area. But since the engine is off, we're not going to see any of that oil pressure at all. Just wanted to touch on that for a moment. Here's our outside temp on the top, our digital speedometer. It says P for park since we're in park, so when I change the gears, it's going to say R for reverse, etc. And then eco for eco mode. Now there's a dial by the shifter, which I'll show you in a few, where I can change the drive mode, which is really cool. You get this animation. You can change it whether you're moving or stationary, which is nice. Eco mode is going to promote saving gas. Sport mode is going to give you more power. The animation lasts for a couple seconds, then it goes away. These white symbols over here are just because we were pushing the cruise control buttons. That one just means that we're on the adaptive cruise control that has a little car in the arrow. The one next to it with the lanes is letting us know lane tracing assist is on for when we're using the cruise, which signifies the little steering wheel symbol as well. That will change colors depending on what it's doing and how much you're holding the wheel. The true lane departure alert is signified by that little car going out of the lane you see diagonally. That's the one that will actually beep and steer you back in the lane when you're hitting the borders. But if your lane tracing assist is active, you're not really going to be hitting your lane borders anyway. There's the time, and then on the bottom right, we have the red symbol for the seatbelt. Park, which doesn't mean we're in park, it means the parking brake is on. So that's important because that's how we tell that that parking brake is on or off. It's an automatic, electronically applying parking brake. Don't confuse that with the P you see in the center. So for example, when I put it in reverse, we'll see the red park go away as well. And once I put it in park, after a couple seconds, you might even hear it or feel it in the brake pedal. The fuel level is on the bottom right, and it gives you an estimated fuel range right on the top there. So this is not your odometer. The odometer is actually in the bottom left where it says 4 miles. We have our estimated range over there right next to the fuel level. Now let's kind of dive in and pick things apart and take a look at some of the different information we're able to change between the 3 pages on the MID, as well as some of the settings, which is on page 2. So if you wanted to change some of the information that shows on either the left or the right MID, you would push and hold the OK button on the steering wheel, and you'll see these little dots pop up on the right. Once those dots pop up, you can move to the right, and then you can scroll through some different information like this. And you can pick what shows. So just take a look here. We got trip A, trip B, individual tire pressure, pitch and roll, my towing blind spot monitor, my trailers, vitals, all kinds of stuff. Another boost gauge. Now say you're thinking to yourself, oh, that's my I-force max gauge actually, which shows me my battery level and my boost. That's pretty cool in case you want to see the battery. So say you don't want these and you want to change it again. You hold OK, the little dots pop up, go to the right, and I can change it. Now say you're like, well, I thought there was more things I could do because I saw a different piece of information on the other side. You'd actually go all the way to the side again, and here's where you can see what's available and what's not. So say I want the traction monitor here. The reason they turned it off was because, remember, the traction monitor was on a different page over here. This helps you reduce redundancies, which I mentioned in my tutorial on this screen. Say you never want the turbo gauge to show on the right side. You can keep it unchecked. But say you want it to be on the right side, you can check it. So the check and uncheck is what helps you organize things, and it's going to take some time. And you're probably going to adjust it a few times, and you can just hit the back button. So there's my trip A, see? Page 2, same thing. Say I want to change my vitals, which I wouldn't personally, but I could go to the left, see? I could change the turbo gauge, or go back. Same idea, and if I go all the way to the left, it'll show me all the different stuff. And I can add things or take things away to fully customize. Now I hit back, go over, but I want those vitals like I had, because those are important to me. There we go, the voltometer and the oil pressure. Now page 2 is unique. This is page 3, but page 2 is unique because it has the setting symbol in the middle. If you hold OK while you're in the center, you can now just simply go up and down without going side to side. And you can go to those settings and hit OK. This is where you can change the settings to your safety sense system and a bunch of other stuff. So let's take a couple minutes to dive deep in here. So we're now in the settings of the MIDs, but not only the MIDs, the actual Toyota Safety Sense systems, and some of those systems we may or may not want to use or we may want to adjust. So starting from the top, lane departure alert. I'm going to zoom in a little for you guys. That's the one that beeps when you're going out of your lane and steers you back in. If you hold OK, you can change it on or off, change the option from steering wheel vibrate to sound, and the alert sensitivity, aka timing. Blind spot monitor. You can turn it on or off by pushing OK, which is going to remind you that it's off constantly. Or you can push and hold the OK button on the steering wheel to change the timing, aka the sensitivity, and the brightness. Those are the little orange lights in the mirrors when somebody's in the blind spot. Pre-collision system, standard in Toyota Safety Sense, will alert you when a collision is imminent. If you don't brake on time, it's going to brake for you. If you hold OK, you can turn it on or off or change the timing. Proactive driving assist is off from the factory because it spooks some people. This feature gives you gentle steering input and deceleration if you're taking turns a little quick. So I can turn that on or off by pushing OK. Then I'll get the little white PDA symbol on the right there. If you push and hold OK, you can change the sensitivity. It also has a couple other features built in. So here's the steering assist on or off, the deceleration assist, where it slows down, and the obstacle anticipation assist. So yes, it can actually sense obstacles and try to decelerate and steer you around them. Now there's no wonder why they turned that off from the factory, because people who were unfamiliar or maybe unfortunately weren't informed about these options at time of delivery, you would understand why they would start to freak out when the vehicle starts giving you all this input that you didn't know it would be doing. So we'll go ahead and leave that off like it was from the factory. Here's parking sonar, which is now called parking assist. This is those little round sensors in the front and back of the truck. As you get closer to things in the parking lot, it'll start beeping. As you get even closer, they beep faster. When you're extremely close about to hit they're going to beep steadily. So you can turn it on or off. It's good to turn it off when you go through an automatic car wash. But by pushing and holding OK, you can change simply the volume. In an automatic car wash, this may apply the brakes because most of the parking assist now in Toyotas comes with automatic braking, which is very helpful. The next here, RCTA, stands for Rear Cross Traffic Alert. Rear Cross Traffic Alert will give you 4 beep sequences when you're in reverse to let you know there's perpendicular traffic. And here's Rear Cross Detection, which lets you know when there's pedestrians as you're backing up. Don't confuse these with Parking Assist, which is only for stationary objects. So I can use the OK to toggle on or off any of these features, but by pushing and holding OK, I can dive into settings. So for Rear Cross Traffic Alert, just the volume. For Rear Cross Detection, I can just turn the camera off. So that's simply on or off. There's no hold OK option. Here's the parking sensor support brake. So this is the one where it will actually automatically brake when you're getting too close to things and you're about to hit. So I would say this is the one you want to go for when you're going to be connecting to a trailer or you're going through the automatic car wash. It's simply on or off. RSA stands for Road Sign Assist. There's a little picture of a car reading a road sign. It's going to read road signs on the road a lot better than the last iteration of Toyota Safety Sense and display them on the screen. If you hold OK, there's some settings for the notification method, like above speed limit. You can even do audio. It'll let you know if you're speeding. For others, different signs. The above speed limit is really the one you'll probably want to tweak in case you have a lead foot and you want a gentle reminder to slow it down. In vehicle settings, by holding OK, there's a lot of stuff in here. Brake suggestion. So it uses the standard sway warning system to detect sleepy driving, and it's going to give you a little alert that it's a good idea to take a break because it thinks you're driving tired. The system actually has a very high accuracy. It helped one of my friends years ago who was notorious for driving tired. Simply on or off here. DRCC is the dynamic radar cruise control, which some people call adaptive cruise control. That's the one that brakes and speeds up for you. When you hold OK, you can change the acceleration sensitivity, guide messaging, and the curb speed reduction. Really nice to see since the cruise control is so advanced now. You can make it fit your needs, given the roads that you typically drive on. This is the power back door. We call it the height adjustable hatchback here. If you hold OK, you can put on the hands-free option. The opening adjustment has 5 different levels. But remember I mentioned there's a video on my channel that actually shows you how to do it a lot faster than this on the fly from the hatchback and the volume. For trailer settings, by pushing OK, I can add a trailer, pick the category, and I can save. Say I'm going to do the motorcycle. Check that out. And not only will it adjust the blind spot monitor for that, certain things, it's going to ask for the number of axles, etc. Really useful. And when I go into tow haul mode, which is on the adjuster by the shifter we're going to go to next, that will enhance the transmission timing and cooling for towing those things. I can deselect trailers, edit and delete trailers. Really nice to see for the people that have that active lifestyle. I can put my trailer light check on, make sure we're good to go for the trip. The tire pressure warning setting. I can do a tire set switch, tire rotation, adjust how I see it, change the unit. This is stuff we've been waiting on for years that we finally have. For scheduled maintenance, you just push and hold OK to reset, which I won't do right now. That's for when you're doing your maintenance. The oil maintenance reminder I can turn on and off. The rear seat reminder, if I never have kids or animals back there, I can turn that off because it will actually beep on the exterior of the vehicle now when you turn it off, which is annoying to some people. And the stop lights display. So when you push the brakes, you get those 2 little red bars on the bottom. Some people think that's a little bit distracting. I like it because I can see what the automatic systems are doing. But you can turn that off if you like. It's nice to have choices. And then down here, one of my favorites are the meter settings. So if you hold OK, you can change the language, the units, but my favorite, I can start customizing. So let me scale out a little bit. Digital only. Interesting look, more like a whole screen. can do single gauge, kind of like the SR5s. Dual gauge, really nice. But check this out. When I go to style, I can go casual, smart like a Highlander, tough like a truck, or sporty like a car. So depending on your vibe or which one is easier on your eyes, you can pick on the fly what kind of style you like. Now for fuel economy, I can change the information it shows. The drive info items I can change settings on. Trip A, trip B, pop-up display. These are kind of like banner alerts on your phone. Whenever something happens, it gives you a banner alert. If those get annoying, you can turn those all off. TBT navigation is turn-by-turn navigation. And I can go to default settings and reset everything. Back to the top. So that concludes the 12.3-inch display section of the tutorial, which was a lot. If you're still here, I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you so much for watching so far. I hope you're enjoying digging into this fully loaded 4Runner. If you liked the video so far, you found it useful, please give the video a like and my channel a subscribe. It makes such a bigger difference than you realize, because by doing those two things, it lets YouTube know that this video is useful and that they should send it out and recommend it to more people that may not have otherwise known it was available. So please help me out, help other people out, give it a like and a subscribe. But moving on, we're going to get a little bit less technical. We're going to take a breath and do some buttons down by the shifter. 4 buttons down by the shifter, there's some stuff going on. We have this thing that I call the tuna can, a row down here, which is still missing a couple items, interesting for a vehicle this price and caliber, some brake options, and then just traditional shifter stuff. So I'll start with the shifter. It's a straight shifter now, straight down to drive. The automatic parking brake will release, so we never have to push this button. This is just here for the technicians to service the brakes. When you put it back in park, the automatic brake will turn back on. You can hear it and feel it. When you go down to drive, you can go to shift mode and toggle the gears forward or back to maintain RPMs, and back into park we go. What's really nice, if I'm buckled up, I can push the hold button, and when I come to a stop, I can actually take my foot off the brake, even though I'm in drive, and it will rest right there, which is really nice. That'll give you a green symbol when it's on and a yellow symbol when it's ready to go. It only works in drive. It's really great for the drive-through, the busy city, or if you have any type of injuries or neuropathy. Now, 4 high is on the fly, which means I can do it while moving or stationary. When I put on 4 high, it's a simple little green 4 high over here. To go into 4 low, I'll have to be in 4 high and then come to a stop. Put it into neutral. See the green? Then I can go into 4 low. Then I pick the gear I want to be in, which is usually drive, and you're going to see some things change here. In 4 low, it's orange, and it turns off a couple things. So it turned off on the top there, the pre-collision system. Makes sense if we're rock crawling, we don't want brakes stopping us from our track. Speaking of track, it will turn off the vehicle stability control and traction control to enhance our power to the wheels. And then the bottom symbol there is just letting us know that we have safety systems that are not active right now. To get out of 4 low, we would have to do the reverse. We'd have to come to a stop, put it into neutral, and go back to 4 high. But I want to take a minute to go back into 4 low, because 4 low is what unlocks a couple things. 4 low is going to unlock our multi-terrain select and our decline assist control and crawl control. So when I hit MTS, I'll get a little symbol here, and I can use the dial, the tuna can, to go through some different options. So mud and sand, rock, and auto, which is going to sense your surroundings to see based on the slip. This is going to enhance the 4x4 system for that type of terrain. By pushing the crawl control, it's a low-speed cruise control for off-roading, and you'll see on the right I have the speed level that I'm using the dial for, what I call the tuna can, so that's the little blue notches. And I would let go of the brake and let go of the throttle, and it actually modulates the brake and the throttle for me, so I can actually focus on steering, which can be very stressful to combine steering, throttle, and brake during certain off-roading scenarios. Now you'll see the traction control is blinking. That's because it's using the track control system to do micro adjustments to the brakes while you're in that low speed cruise control that we call crawl control. Decline assist control is basically like a crawl control. It modulates the brakes for you. You focus on the steering. So nice to see that integrated. So just to recap, because we kind of jumped in fast, MTS and crawl, multi-terrain select and crawl control, can only be accessed in 4 low. These two, which we're going to talk about in a minute, we can use whenever. So, pop quiz. To get out of 4 low, how do we do it? Let me know in the comments if you're an off-roader. Comment down in the comments off-road if you go off-roading. So the answer is we come to a stop and put it in neutral. That's how we get in and out of 4 low. So we'll take a minute to do this. It says crawl has been deactivated. The little window just popped away. And now we see the 4 high symbol. Now to get out of 4 high, I can be moving in gear, out of gear, whatever, doesn't matter. So I'm just gonna do that. You'll hear a little click and snap. 4 high might even blink for a minute. It's letting us know the multi-terrain has been deactivated. And we're back to normal. So to make it simple, 4 high, you can go in and out while moving. You just don't want to use 4 high if you're on dry pavement where the wheels won't slip. 4 low, come to a stop, neutral, put it in, good to go. Low speeds, up to 25-30 miles an hour. 4 high, I would say up to 55 maybe, but if you're going 55 and 4 high, be careful you don't get too confident. Do you even need 4 high at that rate? Maybe, maybe not. In 4 low, we can also lock the rear differential. That's going to be really good for treacherous terrain if we want to force those back wheels to travel at the same speed and prevent us from getting stuck. I haven't had to use it yet, but I know with Mogul you'll have to use it a lot. I'm sure the Jeep people will chime in and say that they can lock their front differential as well, and they can do both in 4 high and 4 low. But Toyota's made the decision to only let you lock the rear and only let you lock it in 4 low. So let me know in the comments if you're an off-roader what you think about that, if it works for you, and if the locking rear diffie is even something you use that much. Back to the tuna can. Drive mode. So you'll notice it resets to drive mode and defaults to drive mode after a few seconds anyway, which is really convenient because that's the one you're going to be changing the most anyway. And then if I push tow haul, it's just going to start getting ready to tow, and it's going to change the transmission timing and enhance the cooling. Simple life. Like I mentioned, brake hold, that's just a nice brake holder feature. I'll show you what it looks like when I push it. Oh, have to be buckled up. So let's buckle up real quick. There we go. So I'm going to push the hold button. You'll see it in green, and then when I put it into drive, you'll see it in gold down there on the bottom. Once you see the gold, it does the hold, and it's just hanging out. Then once you give it a little bit of gas, it goes forward. Super convenient for if you have pain, your legs are sore, etc. So we did buttons by the shifter. Now let's take a minute to break down the climate control system. So here's the 4Runner TRD Off-Road Premium's climate control system. We see some really nice buttons over here. You'll see one of my favorite ones is actually on right now because I'm a little warm. But from left to right, this button gets misunderstood a lot. This turns off the vents on the passenger side, and you're only going to see this on hybrids to maximize efficiency. So if you don't have a passenger in the vehicle, you can cancel their vents, which is going to really just help the cooling focus on you, or the heating. This button is the heated steering wheel. That's really nice for when your hands get cold. Now this does not have a dual zone climate even at this price point. Let me know what you think of that, but it's not a review. Here is the temperature adjustment here. Inside the temperature adjust is auto, so when I push this, it's going to say auto, and it's going to modulate the air direction and the temperature for me. But I'm going to keep the vent down to prevent the wind. I'm going to put on the AC and the recirculate to keep it cool in here. And then my air direction, I can decide what I want it on my own. You have these nice levers here that light up at nighttime. Heated seat, 3 different levels in red. Cooled seat, 3 different levels in blue. So you don't have to guess. You can see it based on the color. Here's the readout for the temperature, the air direction, my recirculate, and my fan speed. Front defrost has its own dedicated button, which is nice. You don't have to find it. Rear defrost is next to it, which makes sense for the really cold and foggy weather. But I'm warm, so I don't need these options. And then recirculate and AC are really good for the hot days. Then we have the heated and chilled seat, or ventilated seat, whatever you want to call it, for the passenger, with the fan speed and an off button. And lastly, the hazards. Right above the climate control is the power and the volume for the screen. I have a separate tutorial on the screen that I'll have linked down in the description below. It's off of an Apple, which is very close to the Android device. When you connect to Bluetooth, you'll have your Waze, Google Maps, Apple Maps, etc. And in that video, I teach you some of the Toyota menus and software with a couple tips and tricks. So be sure to check that out as well. Lastly, we're going to wrap it up with features overhead and close up the video. My deepest apologies, I just realized I totally skipped one of my favorite buttons, the camera view button. If I push this, I get a 360 view. It's going to do a perimeter scan, like you see. There's even some settings here where I can change the 4Runner color. So even though I'm in a white one, say I feel like having a red one because it's easier to see, I can change that. There's the bronze, underground black, Everest. Then it does the real overhead 360. I can get more of an inside view to see really close to where the wheels are, check for kids and objects. I can pause it if I just want to take a peek and be like, oh wow, look at that. It'll do another perimeter scan and zone out. But what I personally love is when I'm in reverse, I have this dynamic camera. So I have the 360 view on the right, I have the true backup camera, and the shaded areas over here, if I tap them, so here's the front of the vehicle, I can see the front. If I want to see the back by the wheels, I can see if I'm going to hit the curb or not. If I want to see the front wheels, I can check if I'm going to curb it. I can check for objects, boulders, everything. I can go into auto. I can do the off-roading version right here, so I can see the sides, everything. I can pretty much do anything I could imagine. Once I turn off the off-roading one, it'll default to the regular street use one. Really nice backup camera thanks to this feature here. And that operates through the front camera by the grille, the backup camera, and there's little cameras hiding underneath the side mirrors. So I'm sorry I forgot that. Now we will finish up with the overhead features. The 4Runner Off-Road Premium comes with an auto-dimming rear view mirror. It's not a digital mirror, but it does have Home Link, which is garage door opener for 3 garages. A simple glasses holder. Individual lights that you want to push the corner. They have kind of like a frosted out version here and then a clear version, so it's super bright where it shines. The 4Runner favorite, the sliding rear windshield that opens and closes all the way. The open and close for the moonroof, which if you push it for a second, it will stop in the most noise resistant position, but if you're going lower speeds, there's actually a little bit extra. Not a lot of people know about that. And then you only got to hold it for a split second for it to close. There's also up and down, which you have to hold. That's right over here if you want just a little bit of quiet ventilation. Then we have the control for the interior lights, so we can put them all on now, we can keep them off, or we can do the middle selection so they only come on with the doors. Then we have the Safety Connect, standard for up to 10 years or until the 4G network goes away. This is like OnStar, but Toyota's version. Better in my opinion. If you get into an accident, it'll instantly send your GPS location so EMS can respond and save your life. It has helped a couple of my clients during some really bad situations. So we dove in. I actually didn't talk as fast as I normally do. I wanted to take my time. I really like this 4Runner. I love the interior. But this is not for me to talk about what I love because it's the tutorial. In the review, we'll talk about what I love and don't love. Let me know what you liked and didn't like in this tutorial, and if I missed anything you wanted me to dive deeper on. I just wanted to say a great big thank you to those of you who made it this far, and an extra special thank you to my subscribers and my supporters. You guys make it worth it. With that said, give it a like and a subscribe, please, and I will see you down in the comments because you guys already know that's where I live. And this is Brian signing out. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.